Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Digital Arts Show. I'm Jim Sirianni, your host. You're a host with the most. I'm contractually obligated to say that. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, I'm your host, Jim Sirianni. This show is part of the Digital Arts Festival that is produced by Center Stage Theater of Santa Barbara. The Digital Arts Festival shows stream nightly at 7 p.m. now through April 30th. And you can find out more on the Center Stage website, centerstagetheater.org, and click on the blog tab in the upper right corner there of the homepage on the Center Stage website. Again, centerstagetheater.org, and click on the blog. By the way, if you want to learn more about me, I'm, of course, Jim Sirianni, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Jim on the Air, also Jim on the Air on Facebook as well. And you can also check out my website, Jim Sirianni, SIRIANNI.com. That's jimsirianni.com. The purpose of the Digital Arts Festival is to create an outlet for artists of all kinds to share their work. And because of the quarantine, many artists and performers suddenly found themselves with no way to show their work or to perform. In some cases, the work these creators have done may never be seen by the public. So, in an effort to find some sort of workaround, if you will, the Digital Arts Festival was created to help artists and performers connect with their audiences virtually. So we will have dance, theater, music, film, visual arts, poetry, storytelling, and much more. And again, you can learn all about it on the Center Stage website, centerstagetheater.org, and click on the blog tab, and that'll take you to the Digital Arts Festival page. So today's guest is Katelyn Carano. Katelyn is a local aerialist, dancer, and circus artist. Katelyn's performance credits include aerial dance, fire dancing, and character work locally and internationally. From corporate events to large-scale productions, her resume ranges from Coachella to the Getty Museum to performing for Google Receptions, Lionsgate Films, and much, much more. And welcome to the show, Katelyn. It's wonderful to have you. It's great to get to meet you today.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's our pleasure. So tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to become a performance artist and dancer.
Yeah, so that's all. I mean, as soon as I started with hula hooping. That was my like my gateway into the circus performance world. And it's just been a dream that I've just been following. Like it's one thing has led to another and shown me the next project or the next passion. And that was back in 2012. And since then, I've just kind of like been following that path and like taking opportunities as they come. So it's been really just like a wonderful pathway through the world of circus. If that.
Nice. That's very cool. So, of course, hula hoop dance, aerial, and fire dance are not your traditional dance forms. Can you talk a little about what each one is and what drew you to them?
Yeah, so I started with hula hooping, or like hoop dance, which is just like a bunch of fun flow tricks and different types of like movement that feel great with the hula hoop. So you might have seen in different circuses, you see the circus performer that has like 4 hoops going at once and like all these tricks and that sort of fun stuff. So that just like drew me in right away. It just feels so good doing it. Like hula hooping just feels so good on your body that it was just like, once I started, I couldn't stop. And I actually started teaching classes for it here because it was just something that like I felt like I could share. I had originally learned it in San Diego, and coming here there were no classes, so I was like, well, then it's time to start. And freshman at UCSB, and they had had a hoop dance class in the past, but the teacher had left, so I kind of just like picked up where she left off.
Oh,
um,
nice.
Hula hoop.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Now, I understand you have performed at a wide range of places, as we mentioned in your bio, from Coachella to the Getty Museum. What are some of the similarities and differences between those very different styles of performance?
Yeah, so what's really cool about performing, and I think this is where circus and like the rest of the dance world can sort of intersect, is each type of performance offers a different audience, right? And so you get to cater what you are offering to your audience and making it the most worthwhile for them. So creating an act for Coachella and what people are going to be inspired by watching while they're watching a bunch of like live music performances, and creating an act for something like the Getty, where maybe you have people that are like a little more casual and just looking at different like art installations, and like creating a project for them is going to be very different, which as an artist is really satisfying to be able to like explore those different realms and cater my acts to a different wide range of audiences.
Nice, very cool. And by the way, as you're watching today's interview, you might want to check out Katelyn's information on the blog. Again, you find it through the Center Stage Theater website, centerstagetheater.org. Click on the blog, and then just also click on the Digital Arts Festival tab on the blog, and you can see all of her information and some of her videos and pictures and such. If you'd like to learn more about Katelyn, you can go to her website, KatelynCarano.weebly.com, and that's KatelynCarano.weebly.com, and you can find out more from her there. And she's also on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram at KitKatKatelyn, and also the same name under Facebook, KitKatKatelyn, excuse me, on Facebook as well. So tell us, Katelyn, what is your creative process like? How do you develop a new dance or performance piece?
So one thing that's interesting for me is I get really inspired by either the project I'm working on or who I'm working with. Those can be really different ways for me to like get inspired. So if I start working with a new another artist and we're like co-collaborating, then a lot of it feeds off of like, well, what is it that they're good at, and like what can we build together? So like in aerial, one of my strengths is like flexibility. I'm like a really bendy person, or like, I mean, that's something I train. So it's been really fun for me to like create an act with somebody else who's really flexible, or if they're really strong, like I can bring my flexibility into that, and creating in that way. One of my partners is this really awesome guy that I've been lucky enough to be quarantined with during this. His name is Eric, and he's another aerialist, and he's super strong. So a lot of our quarantine time has been spent creating this duo act where it's like finding ways to combine like his more masculine strength with some of like the more feminine flexibility sides that I have. So that's just like one example of a way.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's very cool. And again, to learn more about Katelyn, you can find her on Facebook, KitKatKatelyn, also on Instagram at KitKatKatelyn as well. So Katelyn, you also do corporate events. How does that work? Do they have a say in what you're going to present? Do you create original pieces, or do you do something that you've already created? How does that work in the corporate world?
Yeah, so on the website, on my website, either my personal website or the Santa Barbara Hoop Collective website, we have examples of work we've created that people can buy. Also, a lot of the time I work with other entertainment companies. So my world is a lot like any other, kind of like any other industry, where it's a lot of networking, right? So I'm lucky enough to be an independent contractor, and these different event companies, now that I know them, they will call me and be like, hey, we're looking for someone to do a lollipop lyra act, or hey, we're looking for a fire dancer to do a 15-minute fire show, and I'm in their network, and they can call me out of their database.
Oh,
And yeah, so that's a lot of the ways I get work, and a lot of that again is just networking and like word of mouth. So it's really great for me because they handle like the paperwork side and like pitches to the clients, and I get to just come in and like share my art with them, and so that's just been wonderful.
oh, nice. So somebody else handles all the business side of it, and you just show up and do your thing.
I'd say it's maybe like a 30% of like people who call me through my website, and the rest is through like these other entertainment companies. And I actually love that, because those entertainment companies, like their strength is they've built these like beautiful websites and put so much time and money into costuming, and so they handle all of that. And then I get to come in and like work with them per project.
Nice, very cool. So how has the coronavirus and the quarantine impacted your work? Has it impacted it, or are you able to create while in quarantine? How is that for you?
I'm extremely, extremely lucky that I have a space where I can still train. The quarantine has wiped out all of my work. There's no work for
Oh man, yeah.
foreseeable future. I teach, and so I'm hoping that eventually that will come back. But in terms of like working at events, like
Yeah.
there aren't going to be events for quite some time. I am really, really blessed that one of my aerial teachers runs a space in Santa Barbara. And she's like offered for me to, and I teach out of there, and she's offered for me to use the space so long as, you know, we're very like isolated and like cleaning up after ourselves type of thing. So I am still able to train, and that's like just invaluable to my heart. But overall, yeah, I mean, it's devastating to pretty much all performance artists, I think.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's so sad. But at least you're able to continue training, so you can
Right.
keep up with that in the interim. Um, do you feel, you know, because of this huge pandemic, historic global event, do you think that you might create something out of it, or whether it's positive or what have you? Do you think you might come up with a piece that tells your version of the story?
Yeah, it's been interesting because myself and the partner I was mentioning earlier, Eric, we've sort of been going on these like ins and outs of like feeling very creative and like feeling inspired to like, we want to reach out and like let other people know that we're all in this together, we're all feeling this together. But I think a lot of us are going through these phases where we don't feel creative and we don't feel excited. And I think that that's also something that needs to be like, okay. It's like when people are going through this challenging time, it's like, we can keep pushing, but also like it's okay to just take a step back and like, there's so much going on in the world right now that it's okay to just take it one day at a time,
Well, yeah, and allow yourself to breathe and just kind of be maybe observant of what's going on through the whole thing. Yeah, absolutely. And again, if you'd like to learn more about Katelyn, her website is katelyncarano.weebly.com, and that's KatelynCarano.weebly.com. And the Santa Barbara Hoop Collective, their website is the Santa Barbara Hoop Collective.weebly.com as well. And you can find out more about their organization. So Katelyn, let me ask you, I understand you have some videos that you created for the festival that are linked to the Digital Arts Festival blog. Tell us about the development of those performance pieces.
Yeah, so going back to your last question about if we've been, creating anything in this time of coronavirus, there's a piece that we were working on that we were already feeling like it's an adagio piece. It's a partner dance and acrobatic piece between me and my partner. And it was something we were already working on, but sort of right when when the news of like the shutdown kind of hit, we were about to start an aerial class. I was about to be teaching a group of like 6 people a lyra lesson, and then like everyone's phones got that message and we had to start class right in that moment, and it was sort of strange to feel like, wow, this might be the last time like we're all in this room together for who knows when,
Right.
And this song came on that has become just really important to me. And it's a song about kind of living in the moment that you're in, and being really grateful for where you're at and who you have at that time. So the piece is to that song, and it is really inspired by the pandemic that we're in right now.
And then that's the piece that is included on the Digital Arts Festival blog. Is that correct?
Yes.
Nice. And again, to watch Katelyn's stuff on the blog, you can go to the Digital Arts Festival page on the blog. Just go to Center Stage Theater, actually, centerstagetheater.org, click on the blog, and then on the blog there, just click on Digital Arts Festival, and you'll see all of Katelyn's information there and the links to the videos. And what are you looking forward to the most, Katelyn, after this is all over and we emerge, as I've been saying all along, when we come out of these cocoons that we're in? What are you hoping to do the most once that ends?
I mean, I think one thing that is like continually this has been driving home for me is how lucky I am in my life to be able to offer art, for that to be my job. Like, that's incredible. And I
Yeah.
think that for all of this, I would go through phases of being very like hard on myself, or feeling like I need to, or like resentful sometimes of like being too tired to do the thing, And I think that now I just have this like newfound like excitement and like like gratitude for like all the opportunities I do have, because it's so quickly those things can just kind of like have to stop.
Disappear. Yeah. Which, yeah, and I think that's a lesson for all of us. I think we're all kind of going through this whole ordeal and, deciding what kind of person are we going to be once this all ends, or how are we going to be creative or be a performer or an artist or whatever the case may be,
I mean, a lot of it
going forward.
we want, like, if you're stuck suddenly, like how close is your family, and like what can you do with them, and like how close are your friends, and how can you still reach out to them. And I think the importance of who we surround ourselves with, like that's been a huge lesson for me too from all this.
Exactly. And Kate, I wish we can keep going, but unfortunately we're almost out of time. But before we go, I just want to give everyone your information one more time. You can find Katelyn on Facebook and Instagram at KitKatKatelyn on Facebook, and then at KitKatKatelyn on Instagram. And her website is KatelynCarano.weebly.com. Again, that's KatelynCarano.weebly.com. And the Santa Barbara Hoop Collective website is the SantaBarbaraHoopCollective.weebly.com as well. You can learn more about what they do. And oh, sure. One more thing.
Santa Barbara Hoop Collective, one thing I am offering during this time is virtual hoop lessons. And those have been really like, just make me feel good, because I can stop thinking about everything else and just hula hoop with people and we do that through Zoom. And it happens several times a week. So if people want to reach out about that through the Santa Barbara Hoop Collective, we'd love to have you as well there.
Oh, great. And that's on the Hoop Collective website. Again, the Santa Barbara Hoop Collective.weebly.com, WEEBLY.com, the Santa Barbara Hoop Collective.weebly.com. And so lessons will be on that site virtually.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yes.
And again, to learn more about Center Stage, you can go to their website, centerstagetheater.org. Again, that's centerstagetheater.org. And if you want to know about me and what I'm up to, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Jim on the Air on Facebook, and at Jim on the Air on Instagram. And on Twitter, I had to be a little different. On Twitter, it's at Jim on the Radio, which I need to change one of these days. But I just want to thank everybody for watching, and thank you, Katelyn, for joining us today, and good luck with everything you're doing and with the future. And thanks again.
Thank you. It was so great to be on. Thank you so much. You're
welcome. And again, to learn more about Center Stage, centerstagetheater.org. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.